Go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here, and I am not going to be editing this video because I just want to talk, and I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm saying and less about what's on screen. The recent video that I put out going over Prideone's tier list seems to be taken out of context, if you will, because a lot of you, and I'm not too sure if maybe the video got posted on the Jing Yuan mains Reddit or if it's just attracting the wrong crowd. I don't know. But that wasn't a video about Jing Yuan, and somehow a majority of the comments that I'm seeing turned into Jing Yuan. Now, I understand a lot of you love the character. I love Jing Yuan as well, but there has to come to a point where we need to understand and accept the fact that we can remove our feelings or whether or not we care about a character as like our favorite character. We can remove that from the conversation and talk about flaws or criticize a character. What I see in the comments, what I see on the Reddit for Jing Yuan seems to be just pure copium. And I very rarely use that word, but I don't know if everyone thinks this character doesn't have flaws, but that's just not true. And it's okay. It's okay to have flaws. I'm gonna go over a few things in this video. Number one is how tier lists work, at least from my perspective, coming from a fighting game, competitive fighting game background. I'm also gonna go over the fact that Jing Yuan does have flaws. He's not a perfect character. And it is pretty threatening in a way. I don't like the term power creep, but I know you guys familiarize yourselves with that. It is threatening for power creep, for Jing Yuan especially, as well as erudition as a whole. Lastly, I just want to address some of the things that I saw in the previous video in the most neutral way possible. So before we actually get into it, let me state it. This is not an attack. I know a lot of y'all think that I attack people, which I do, but this is not one of the this is not one of those moments where I'm attacking. I'm just trying to get my point across. I've read a lot of comments. I've tried to respond to as many as I can, and I've opened up my Discord to any of you guys that want to have a full-blown conversation, whether that be one-on-one in a group call or in a group Discord call, whatever. I have opened the door. None of you have accepted that offer, but it is what it is. Regardless, let's go ahead and start. So number one, tier list. Prideone's tier lists, which are completely fine in their own right. I understand that Prideone does their tier list based off of Memory of Chaos. Memory of Chaos is the harder in-game content, and this actually goes into a little bit of what we can address pertaining to Jing Yuan as well. Now, with this being based off of Memory of Chaos, especially going from MOC 1 all the way to MOC 10, anyone who has not completed MOC 10 or gone past MOC 8 successfully probably gets removed from this conversation. It's not to be mean. I was there as well. Like before Blade came out, I was literally stuck on MOC 8. My only DPS characters were Zila and Jing Yuan. Some of you know about the previous video that I released complaining about Jing Yuan and the damage output that I didn't like. I improved my Jing Yuan. I was still stuck behind MOC 8 with lightning weak enemies on one side and then lightning resistant enemies on the other side. I also understand that MOC favors whatever the banner character is. There are two things that have happened recently that make it not a good argument. Number one, when Jing Yuan was here during his banner, he was having a 75% attack increase, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that, for both hunt and erudition characters. So any character that was a part of the hunt or erudition path were going to do a phenomenal amount of damage. At that time, that looked like Jing Yuan's normal damage. Once we left that MOC, the turbulence was gone. We saw a dramatic drop in DPS. Jing Yuan was no longer hitting 1 million damage throughout his entire cycle. He was hitting 700,000, 600,000. Yes, he can still clear things, and that's at the end of the day, that's probably all that matters, right? If your Jing Yuan can clear MOC 1 through 10 for you, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is calling, or at least not me. I'm not calling Jing Yuan ass. I'm just pointing out the flaws when I talk about this character. So when I look at a tier list as a objective, that's the word. No. So objectively, I had to figure out if it was subjective or objective. Objective is how I go at tier lists. I do sometimes look at things subjectively because experience does matter, but as a whole, I'm looking at a lot of things about a tier list objectively. When I look at a tier list, when I create a tier list, especially coming from a competitive fighting game background, we need to look at everything about this character from start to finish. I'm going to use Jing Yuan, obviously, and I'm going to use a character like Zila because of those are the two top characters. I can also look at Locha and I can look at Japard. I can look at Silverwolf and I can look at Ting Yun or Pela or Yukon. So if I'm looking at these characters, I need to be able to establish a certain standard. What is the standard of this tier list? High damage, clearing MOC fast. How easy is it to do this? How quickly can I get this character built up to do that? There's so many things that go into it. I recently got a comment and it was basically saying, how can I put Jing Yuan in A- tier or something like that, but not rank him at his maximum potential? I do rank him at his maximum potential, and then I apply the flaws. And that's what brings him down from an S tier unit to an A- or B tier unit, whatever unit you, or whatever tier you want to put him in. That's the problem. Seele is a character with practically zero flaws. What's her flaw? Don't pop resurgence. That's it. Anytime anyone ever says something about Seele and they try and point out a flaw, it's literally, oh, well, if she doesn't kill anything, no damage. They're dead. I killed them already. Like that's the difference, right? When Seele doesn't get resurgence, it's because I killed it. Or I didn't do enough damage on the first swing, but I'm going to get it on the second swing. The main point being is that her flaw is no one died, because either I killed them already, or I'm going to kill them on the second swing, or they just don't exist. And that's fine. She doesn't have a negative that affects her tremendously to that degree. It's very easy to build Seele. She has multiple relic sets that work on her. You can use different planar ornaments. She has a multitude of light cones that work for her. Seele as a character is cracked. That is why Seele, in my opinion, is the only S+ character outside of Silverwolf, is the only S+ character that exists on most of my tier lists, because she is at the very top. There is what, 0 to 1 flaw for this character. You move to the comparison that I mentioned earlier, Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan has multiple flaws. What is Jing Yuan's signature thing? Being an erudition character, being able to melt through 4 to 5 enemies at one time. Great. Here's the problem. Jing Yuan as a character, him, the human, the man, does not melt through 4 to 5 enemies by himself at one time. He needs buffs. He needs Ting Yuan. Oh, Seele needs Bronya. No, she doesn't. A lot of you have Seele and no Bronya, and you are still murdering things with Seele. Jing Yuan needs a buffer. I have not seen anyone play Jing Yuan with no buffer, only Nihility, for instance, and they are doing the same, if not more damage than they would be doing if they had the buffer. I just don't see it. Jing Yuan needs this stuff. Lightning Lord is the character. The reason I gave that example, and that wasn't, I think a lot of you jumped from the beginning to the end just to see where I place things. I didn't place Jing Yuan in B tier just to talk about whatever. I mentioned that if I were going to somehow separate these two, it feels like Jing Yuan is a B tier character and Lightning Lord is an A tier character. I understand they're one. They're one in the same, right? One collective, one packed up unit, which is why I put them in the middle, right? An A tier character and a B tier character going in the middle equals A-. That's why that exists. So with that in mind, his main buff, the main thing that makes him great, is supposed to be Lightning Lord melting through enemies pretty quickly, mind you, but it's not quick. Not only does Lightning Lord have its own set of flaws that we have all come to accept, and we've all talked about this. I've seen at least 5 different posts pop up in the last 3 days about Jing Yuan on Reddit. I've seen a multitude of comments, not even only in my comment section, but other creators' videos as well. Oh man, I wish Lightning Lord just auto-targeted the enemy with the most HP. I wish Lightning Lord targeted, or I could select the target for Lightning Lord. I wish Lightning Lord could just dump all that damage on single target if there's no one there. There's a lot of issues that Lightning Lord has. The CC, Jing Yuan CC, Lightning Lord doesn't get to go. What makes it worse, something that I always mention, is that even if I were to recover Jing Yuan's CC, if I remove the CC from him by using something like Loach's auto heal or Bronya's E skill, or even Natasha's heal, Lightning Lord's placement that he did have before getting CC'd does not, like, he doesn't get it back. He immediately goes to the very bottom of the list and then he stays there. Even if Jing Yuan's CC is removed, Lightning Lord still stays at the very bottom of the list and you can't re-up him. That's the problem. If he was already at 10 stacks and then you get CC'd and then now he's at the bottom, I can't give him more stacks. He doesn't get that speed increase again. He's just stuck. That's the problem. There's so many issues with Jing Yuan. So when you take this character who's supposed to be, quote unquote, an S tier AoE damage dealer, but then you add on 9, 7, 8, 10 different flaws, he can't remain an S tier. He can't stay there. That's how a tier list works. You need to take, here's what's great about a character and here's what's bad about the character. Now place them on the tier list in comparison to everyone else. Then we get into, like I mentioned with Seele, relics. Jing Yuan is a very, very high investment character. He's not the only one, but he's the one that I can think of right now that we're talking about that requires so much investment to get subpar results. Yes, You can clear MOC whatever with your Jing Yuan. That's fine. As I mentioned in all of my previous videos, you might have a cracked out Jing Yuan. Congratulations. It's not easy to get a cracked out Jing Yuan. You either had to grind for that or you get super lucky. Even in the previous video, the comment section, there were a number of you actually who straight up said, my Jing Yuan has 150 plus crit damage. I have well over 70% crit rate, 3000 attack, and I'm still not doing the same amount of damage that an E0 level 70 Blade is doing, or an E0 Zila, not even with her signature light cone, are doing. Think about what I just said. All of that all those stats dumped in Jing Yuan, and you're still not doing the same damage as these other characters are doing, not even close to the damage they're doing or outputting. That's a flaw. This isn't to say, oh, Jing Yuan's the worst character in the game, nobody should pull, everybody should regret it. I'm not on that wave, and I hate that you guys throw me in that bubble that I just hate this character, when that's nowhere near the case at all. But I should be allowed, as well as other people, to point out these flaws and say, hey, Hoyoverse, maybe we could get some adjustments. Maybe we could get some new relic sets, just like Destruction got, to help out Erudition characters. Erudition as a whole has a problem. Now we finally get to Blade, because for whatever reason, that's the argument, right? Blade or Jing Yuan? Why does Blade do more damage than Jing Yuan? Yada yada, this and that. We need to take it a patch or two back. Someone else was doing more damage than Jing Yuan while Jing Yuan was still here in his boosted turbulence. Clara was doing so much more damage than Jing Yuan by herself. Oh, it's conditional. She needs to get hit. She needs to get punched in the face to do that damage. You're right. She does need to get hit. That is a condition. You know what happens? Oh, well, if this character is doing a ton of AoE damage, she's got great single target damage, and she's tanky, automatic S tier character in comparison to everything else that we have for damage dealers. Now we give her some flaws. What's Clara's flaw? She has to get hit. Okay, what's the other flaw? That's it. She has to get hit. Okay, maybe you can throw her in A tier, right? A+ tier, whatever. But that's not the same. Like Jing Yuan and Clara, they both have great AoE damage. Let's just put it on there flat on the board. Now you start adding the flaws. Like I said, Jing easily has more flaws than Clara. They don't belong in the same tier. There's nothing that Jing can do that Clara wouldn't be doing on top of the flaws given to these characters. Again, I'm not basing this tier list off of subjectiveness or my opinions or whatever the case may be. I'm basing this off of results, off of what I've seen all of you guys do, other creators, other players. The same thing consistently always happens. The condition for Clara, get punched in the face. Okay, what happens if she gets punched in the face? You zero cycle floors like nobody's business. We've all seen it. We've all seen Clara zero cycle floors. Jing Yuan, how do you zero cycle a floor when Lightning Lord is stuck in the back? There are multiple times where if you don't get 10 stacks, Lightning Lord doesn't go until the beginning of the next turn. You can't zero cycle something that way. We talk about Blade because Clara is a destruction unit. Now we get into Blade. What does Blade do? What are Blade's flaws? Very similar to Clara. Oh, he has to get punched in the face. Not true. Blade sucks away his own HP multiple times within his own actions. I showed you guys this in my guide video, and I'm going to have it again in another video coming out soon this week. Blade is a self-sufficient character. To activate his own trigger or to trigger his own ability, he can do it himself. He does not need to be hit. Hitting him just speeds up the process. What's another flaw for Blade? Oh, he has high investment. No, he doesn't. Blade is the second DPS character in the game next to Zila, who does not need a lot of investment. You can use Musketeer, you can use a brand new set, you can use the Eagle set. You have 3 different sets, possibly even 4, and you have 2 or 3 different, what do you call these things? The planar ornaments. You have the planar ornament sets as well, just like Zila. He goes in the same tier, or my bad, right beneath Zila. Now, me personally, I put them in the same tier, but Blade, on the other hand, really likes Bronya. However, Blade makes up for this by being able to cleave entire waves of enemies by himself across the board. Oh, there's 5 enemies on the field. Okay, well, my talent's just gonna take care of everybody. 3 enemies on the field, oh, they're gone. I had 90% cap, gone. Jing doesn't have these. He does not get this same treatment. So when I made the statement that Erudition as a whole is being threatened, Erudition as a whole is being power crept, somehow a lot of you, which again, I'm gonna refer to these people as Jing Yuan mains, only heard Jing Yuan. There are like 2 or 3 other Erudition characters in the game that are also suffering the same fate. Himiko is suffering the same fate. Serval has been suffering this fate. Is Herta an Erudition character? I wouldn't know. I don't use Herta. I kind of forget she's even in the game, but you guys get where I'm going with this. It's not just Jing. Stop only thinking of Jing when you hear Erudition. Just because you don't like Himiko doesn't erase her from the game. Oh man, Himiko's trash. She's only good for farming. You know, people that say that about Himiko but love Jing Yuan, and then you defend Jing Yuan, what's the difference? They're in the same boat. They both need a buff. They both need some fixes. They both have too many flaws in comparison to the good that they can do. So I get it. There are people that are upset that Jing is not the character that Hoyoverse might have promoted him to be, or that I'm included in that, feel Jing should be. I feel like Jing should be an S tier character for free, flaws included. Regardless of his flaws, I think he should be an S tier character. I think that he should go into S plus territory once he gets in there. Also, I forgot to mention, just like Blade, right? Because of flaw, he really likes Bronya. Blade doesn't need Bronya. Jing Yuan needs Jing Yuan, or at least another buffer. I'm not going to use Yukon because Yukon's kind of bad, but he needs someone. And that's what keeps Jing Yuan, to me, in A tier. I'm not basing my tier list or opinions off of MOC specifically. I'm looking at the game. I'm looking at these characters as a whole, what they provide to the game, and how the game combats these characters. And that's why I place characters in the tier list the way that I do. So no, I don't think that Blade and Jing Yuan belong in the same tier whatsoever. If I could place characters in a particular order, Jing Yuan would probably still be closer towards the bottom of my DPS tier list. Not because he doesn't do the damage, it's because it takes too much work or too much investment for him to get to the damage in comparison to the other DPS characters in the game who can do 2 times the damage he does for less effort. If it takes 2 nickels for Zila to do 200k damage within 2 actions, but it takes Jing Yuan 12 nickels to do 120k damage in 5 actions, how would they even be on the same level? That just doesn't make sense. Moral of this story, I don't hate Jing Yuan. He's easily one of my favorite characters in the game. Please stop saying I hate Jing Yuan, because that's not true at all. I get it. Y'all love this character. That's cool, me too. But I don't think anybody should be crucified for not sharing the same opinion that a lot of other players have. Thank you for watching this video. I know it was a doozy. I don't know how I rambled for this long. I guess I had a lot to respond to, but the next video, we're actually gonna go over Blade and the HP percent boots and chest and everything like that, because I actually think that's a pretty interesting conversation to have, and one that opens the door for a lot of other characters that we're probably not looking at right now, but we have been looking at before. Regardless, I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.